This your boy Chris Simmons coming to you with another podcast episode. Man, oh man, I'm having a great day so far. Today is Thursday, December 30th as we speak, and we are 2 days out before 2022 kicks in. Man, I can't believe that time has just gone by so fast, man. You know what I'm saying? I can't believe we were about to say Happy New Year all over again. But you know what? As long as you are still here in this moment, you are blessed. So hopefully, you can look back on 2021 and be able to pick out some good things that's happened to you. Because I know around this time, a lot of people already want to skip over 2021 and go into 2022, because they all sorry about not being able to achieve everything that they want to achieve. But guess what? Even though you may not have achieved some of your resolutions that you put down on your list, I know one big resolution that you could be able to celebrate, and that is that God has kept you throughout this time. Come on, somebody. Has He kept you through January? Has He kept you through February? Has He kept you through March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December? If God has still kept you this far, that should be one thing that you can celebrate, throughout going into the new year, because unfortunately there were some people who did not make it out of 2021. But the fact that you made it out of 2021 should be something that you can toast to. Come on, somebody. I understand that you might have had some plans for the new year. Maybe they didn't go through, or maybe they still in the process of being worked on. But just know that if you're still here, you still got time to go out and make them happen. Come on, somebody. I know that this is the year. This is the time where everybody starts to make resolutions, and everyone's talking about, oh, new year, new me, new this, new that. But you know what? You know what I'm saying? We are still, as we speak, we are still in 2021. So hopefully, y'all will be able to continue to make the best out of these last 2 days in this calendar year. But you know, looking back on 2021, it's been a phenomenal year for me. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I know for me, it's been a phenomenal year. And this episode is just going to be just about reflecting about 2021. Nothing real, too motivational. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of just a time where I get to get on here and kind of reflect. Talk about some of the things that happened with this podcast. Get into some of this other stuff that I experienced throughout the year, and then I'll wrap it up with the direction that I want to go into with this podcast, and hopefully the direction that I want to go into in terms of where I want this podcast to go and stuff that I got planning for in 2022. So when I look back on 2021, this was a year where I really ramped up the podcast. So for those of you who don't know, I started this podcast back in March of 2020. And, I would just kind of get on the mic, just kind of talking, just kind of just trying to be motivational with it. I would have some stuff I wanted to say. But you know what? It started out with just me. It started out with just me. And, I was had a lot of time to be able to record episodes because, back in 2020, March of 2020, that's when the whole quarantine happened. That's when, the shutdown happened. So I was at home, in my house, and, I was like, you know what, let me try to find something to where I can take my focus off of what's going on, in the world. And also, I was also dealing with an injury. I was dealing with my Achilles injury throughout 2020. So, I wanted to use that pain to be able to encourage somebody. And that's how this podcast came about. And I was recording episodes. I probably, was able to record 18 episodes from week to week. And then all of a sudden, I just didn't feel the passion to get on the mic and record these episodes until, toward the end of 2020, when I had my boy, I was telling my boy Shay about my podcast, trying to get, some listeners, to be able to listen to the podcast. And he was like, oh, yo, that's crazy, man. Like, that's awesome. Like, when you gonna have me on? And I said, when I get back up to Kent, which was the next year, which was the following year, which was 2021 this year, And we did an episode, to kick off the new year, and that's when he put me on to some more great ideas, in terms of what I can do to better the podcast. So that's, so when I look at 2021, it was a year of podcasting, and I had some, he put me on to, getting back on social media. That's why I got the Instagram, I got the Facebook, I got the Twitter for the podcast. Really, I use Instagram to be able to reach out to people because he really put me on to the idea of having guests on, because at the time I didn't really have a lot of guests on. And, I was just trying to do it myself. I was in my basement and I'm just recording, just trying to, just kind of just saying what I thought, would go well on this show. But he was the one that was like, yo, like you should bring different perspectives on. And I had, no intention of, trying, well, actually I did, but I didn't know how to go about it. You know what I'm saying? Like I did say in one of my episodes that I wanted more, some people on here, but I just didn't know how to go about it. But he was like, yo, you need to get back on social media. And I'm like, well, at the time, I'm like, I was anti-social media. I'm like, bro, I don't want no Instagram. I don't want no Facebook. It's toxic, blah, blah, blah. But he was like, yo, look, you can change the game. You can really change the game. You can use social media to be able to connect people to listen to your podcast and potentially come on to your podcast. So I'm like, all right, bet. So, I got Instagram. I'm using Instagram. I was hitting up people who were, motivational speakers, life coaches, health coaches, fitness coaches, psychologists. I mean, you name it. I was just trying to get people to come on and, be able to share their perspective in terms of, how to take care of themselves and stuff like that. So, I had a lot of great guests on, throughout the year. I'll highlight a few. I remember having Brianna Petty, the gospel child. I call her the gospel child. She was on a few of my episodes, so definitely shout out to her. I think we did a spiritual development series at one point. So shout out to Brianna for being able to just be on my episode, be on my podcast, and just being able to add some flavor to the show. So shout out to Brianna. I have my girl Aggie Fitness, Aggie Sapienza. She came on. She was one of my first guests on. She's been on twice. So I gotta give Aggie Fitness, Aggie Sapienza a shout out. What I'm saying, for being on my podcast, for being on my episodes, for being on two of my episodes. So she was on two of my episodes, and I had a great conversation with her, and she was talking about her fitness journey. Very involved. If you follow her on social media, she is very, very involved with her fitness. So definitely go check her out. Here, let me see if I can pull her social media so y'all can follow her. Okay. So if you follow her, if you want to check her out on Instagram, follow her at AGGYSAPIENZA. That's no spaces or capitals. So once again, follow her at Aggie, AGGY Sapienza, SAPIENZA. So if you want to check her out, she always posting something on there. You know what I'm saying? So she definitely got a lot of fitness tips for y'all, tips and tricks for y'all in terms of getting your body right. So that was another great guest that I had on. I cannot forget about Lucy Duff, another great guest from the Dubai. She was on my episode twice. And the first episode we did, I titled it "Mental Toughness," and it was a phenomenal episode. Definitely opened up about her story, about some painful challenges that she faced throughout her journey toward becoming this motivational coach, also / author. So, if you definitely go check out one of my episodes, episode 26, Mental Toughness. And she also came on another episode. I'm trying to find, episode 35, Master Your Goals. Okay, so she opened up about how to, be able to master them goals, and, came up with some strategies on how to do that, because, she mentioned one thing that I remember. She said, writing down your goals is stupid. And I remember she went into depth about that. and she explained why she thought that. So definitely go check that episode out. That's episode 35, Mastering Goals. And then another thing, that happened along the way was I did have Miss Tiffany Chanel. Miss Tiffany Chanel, for those of you who don't remember, she was actually my co-host for several of my episodes before she had to drop off. I think she was able to do a few episodes with me for like a month and a half, and then she had something come up. So she definitely added value to the show. Still keep up with her to this day. I was a little sorry that she had to go, but she definitely put me on to a lot of new ideas. We were doing 3 episodes a week. She suggested that I should do motivational Mondays, toxic Tuesdays, and what would you do Wednesdays, which is where I started doing the live segments. So she definitely put me on to doing some more stuff with the podcast, added some tremendous value. So definitely go check out some of these episodes. I think she started with me through, I think we did several episodes. So she started, so I think the first episode we did was episode 42. So episode 42, taking a mental break all the way, and I think we stopped at episode 54. So I think she did about 12 episodes with me. Shout out to Miss Tiffany Chanel. Miss Tiffany Chanel making a great, making the podcast, adding value to the podcast and everything like that. So I definitely appreciate everything that you have done, Miss Tiffany. And then, I was, after the co-host, I was still producing episodes, still trying to, keep the podcast alive, because I'm not going to fake. When she decided that she had to, step down from being my co-host, I had another bump in the road, because that's where I was like, okay, do I still do the podcast? Do I still, continue to put out episodes, because I was comfortable doing them with a co-host. I didn't know how I was going to be able to transition back to just doing it myself and bringing on guests. But you know what? I still kept it together. I was still continuing to do the What Would You Do Wednesdays for a while. I actually did those. I actually kept doing the What Would You Do Wednesday live sessions, because we used to do those together, but she, couldn't do them no more. But I was still doing them. And along the way, this is how I was able to meet my girl Heather. So if you have checked out my most recent live segments on my Instagram, you will see that Miss Heather Nuttall has been able to contribute to the conversation, and she jumps on every Wednesday and gives her 2 cents. It's funny how we met, because I happen to follow her on Instagram, just trying to follow people that are trying to do the same thing I'm doing, kind of got the same goals and ambitions. And, I followed her not thinking nothing of it. And as I was doing my What Would You Do Wednesday, she happened to pop on there, and she happened to, be engaged with what I was talking about. I'm like, yo, this is dope, right? And so after I think 3 or 4 episodes, she personally DM'd me and told me, yo, I really love what you're doing with this. We should connect, we should get to know each other, talk about, your podcast, talk about, how you are writing this book and stuff like that. And so we got connected, and, it was our relationship just kind of took off from there. We became close, and, we, been able to share we share ideas with each other. She was also on one of my episodes that I titled Bricklayer. That's episode 67. So if you want to check out our episode, this is where we have a great conversation about, her personal life, and, how she was able to, stay in that strong marriage with her husband for 33 years. She's been married for 33 years. So we were able to talk about how she was able to do that. So definitely go check out that episode 67, Bricklayer. And you know what, man, that's just a few things that, stuck out for me throughout this podcast journey. And I've also had other incredible guests on as well. So shout out to all of my other incredible guests that have been a part of my podcast journey. but I wanted to highlight those specific ones because they've been involved with me more than once. So, I really want to give a shout out to all the names that I just said. Lucy Duff, Brianna Petty, Aggie Sapienza, Heather Nuttall. Man, I think y'all my top guests that's been on my show more than once. And I just want to say thank you to all my guests that have also been on my show. I can't forget about my man Shay Spaniard. He's been on my show more than twice, but he's also been working behind the scenes. Definitely is the reason why the podcast is where it is today, because of his creative mindset. Oh, and I also forgot to shout out Tiffany Chanel. Tiffany Chanel, thank you for also being co-host. Thank you for being able to add flavor to the podcast. So I really do appreciate all the guests, all the people that help me put add flavor to the podcast. So I really appreciate all you that have been on here. And you know what? It was a grind. It wasn't easy trying to get these episodes. You see me, live on game day. You hear me speak. Some of you probably, like, man, like, that was awesome. That was a great episode. Like, how did he do it? How was he able to put together such a phenomenal episode? It was a grind. I'm not gonna lie. It took a lot of effort, a lot of creativity, a lot of planning. When I wanted guests on the show, I had to reach out to them. I had to coordinate. I had to continue to keep in constant communication. I had to come up with content. I had to come up with questions. So it was a grind. But you know what? I didn't really look at it as a chore. I was so caught up. I was too busy enjoying the process, getting excited about the process, that it didn't really, putting together episodes, trying to come up with outlines, trying to, coordinate episodes. It wasn't like a daunting task for me, because I had a passion for doing what I do. And so putting together these episodes, doing these episodes week after week, it was something I embraced because I had the passion to do it. I found that passion again. I really had that passion for helping others. And that was the whole reason why, I wanted to continue to keep doing the podcast because, I kept, over time I would receive feedback from people, who were following me on Instagram or keeping up with my podcast, listening to my podcast. It really did wonders. I started to see the hard work pay off just by the feedback that I was getting. And that's what kept me, going because, my purpose going in was to be able to make a positive change in somebody's life and for somebody to be motivated, inspired through what I was doing. So my purpose was the reason why I kept going in this, during this podcast. And so, right now I'm at 73 episodes, but that don't mean I'm just going to continue to just like put my hands up and just sit back and relax. I still got plans, baby, going into 2022. I still got a lot of, just ideas and opportunities that I want to go into during this new year. So this is definitely not the last time you're gonna hear from me because you're gonna hear a lot more. I'm gonna have a lot more guests on. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm really excited for the direction of this podcast. You know what I'm saying? But other than a podcast, I also had some other phenomenal experiences, man. I got my motivational gear. Step towards your purpose. I got my sweatshirt on, as you can see. I'm rocking a hoodie. So, I definitely recommend y'all get that. I also got shirts and I also got hats on there as well. So definitely go check that out on eBay. If you type in Chris's motivational gear, all that stuff should be able to pop up on eBay, or you can go on Instagram and be able to and be able to gain access to it through there. But yeah, I came out with the merch, man. I'm starting to come out with some stuff, for the Disinfecting Your Life brand. So I came out with motivational gear. Earlier this year in the summer, I was able to travel to 3 places. I went to Philly, then I went to New Jersey, then I went to Dallas. The Philly trip that I had was phenomenal. Got to see my, what we call our uncle. I call him my uncle because, their family is close with my family. So I got to visit my uncle, my aunt, and my cousins out there in Philly. You know, I had a phenomenal time out there. Got to see them. I haven't seen them in 2 years, so it was great to see them out in Philly. You know, be able to stay at their beautiful house, and just be able to hang out and just relax out there. And then with New Jersey, my my same family, my uncle, they got a beach house out there. We went out there, got to go on the beach. I got to play some tennis, go kayaking, go biking. We did a lot of outdoor activities out there, so it was phenomenal time. Got to just relax by the beach, eat some phenomenal food, and with Dallas, that's where I went to Dallas. Did like a little internship with my company, so I got to travel out there, got to see some new things. Never been out to Dallas, been to Houston, but have never been to Dallas. The first time I went to Dallas, got to stay by the Cowboys practice stadium out there. Ah man, I forget the hotel. I think it's like, man, I'm drawing a blank. I can't even remember the hotel, but it was the hotel. I think it was the Omni. I think it was the Omni Frisco. I think that's what it was. Oh, okay. I think it was the Omni Frisco was where I stayed at. So it was across from. It was in that little area where the practice stadium, where the practice facility is. They got that little open turf field out there where people run around on. It's in that little area that we stayed in. So it was a phenomenal time. Got to see Dallas. Uh, got to eat some good food. Everything big in Dallas. All the portions is big. You know what I'm saying? So I had a phenomenal time in Dallas. It wasn't too hot. Now it was hot, but it wasn't like, it wasn't like over 100 degrees. I think it was like, in the 90s. It was like in the low 90s, high 80s. So it was like a little dry heat, but it wasn't like steaming. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't steaming, but it was a comfortable type heat. It could have been a lot hotter because I think it was projected to be 100 and some degrees by the time I went, but I think the weather started to change as it got close to the week, so it wasn't that hot, but it was still a phenomenal time out there in Dallas. Got to meet people, got to be able to make some new connections, make some good relationships with some folks out there. So Dallas was a phenomenal time. Also went to this one place called Red Steakhouse. Went there twice. So I went there one in April for my friend's 21st birthday. That's a phenomenal steak, phenomenal ribeye. It was a little expensive, but you know what? It was worth every penny. You know what I'm saying? And I also went for my 22nd birthday. So I had my 22nd birthday this year in September 28th. So that's when we went back. And I had the 24-ounce ribeye. The first time I went, I had the 16-ounce boy. But I said, you know what? Let me get the 24-ounce boy. And I had the garlic butter on it. Woof! I had the garlic butter on it, and that was the bomb. So Red Steakhouse, it was in Pinecrest, which is a little area out there in Orange, Ohio, which is a little suburb outside of Cleveland, Ohio. So if you're in that area, definitely go get you some. So it was a phenomenal time out there at Red Steakhouse. Got to celebrate my birthday as well as my friend's birthday early in the year. And I think one of the best things that I was able to, I think one of the biggest accomplishments that I had was that I wrote my first book. And for those of you who have not got your copy, definitely go get your copy. Step Toward Your Purpose. It's on Amazon. So definitely go check that out. You know what I'm saying? It's a motivational book. I give principles on how you can be prepared when you go step toward your purpose. So that's what the whole gist of the book is about. So I definitely go recommend you check it out. But it was an aha moment for me, you know what I'm saying? Because, it was something that, I didn't intend to do, going into 2021. I never, really had an idea to write a book. But because of what I went through in 2020 and because of the work, because of the path that God had me on, I decided, you know what, God, I felt like God was, speaking to me and telling me that I should go ahead and write a book, even though, my ACT score said otherwise, my grades and writing classes said otherwise, but I still went with what God said and look at what God has done. And if I didn't listen to God, I would have never been able to get this boy off the ground. So it was a phenomenal uh, just accomplishment. I was able to grind through it. Took me about 9 months to get it all figured out, get it all ready. So it was a grind. It was another grind I went through. But you know what? Looking back on it, man, looking at the book and just the fact that seeing people with it, it definitely just made me think of legacy. It made me think of legacy because that's what I'm striving to do, and going forward in my life is leaving that legacy. My mom was excited; she purchased hers, and got a whole copy for the family, and just seeing it in the house, just seeing it on the counter, just makes me think, wow, like just imagine how many more people can have this book and be able to pass it down from generation to generation. That's legacy. So, I was just, thinking about, man, like this is a legacy that I can leave here on this earth. You know what I'm saying? So it was just a proud moment for me. But those were some of the highlights that I had throughout the year, man. It was just, man, it was just 2021. Looking back on it, man, definitely had a lot of highlights that I had to share, and hopefully that y'all had some similar highlights as well. But you know what? What I really want y'all to understand is that the experiences that you have throughout the year are based on what you choose to spend your time doing. Come on. So let me say that again. Your experiences that you have throughout the year are based on what you choose to spend your time doing. So if you look back on this year, you have nothing that worth remembering. You know what I'm saying? You need to go into this year and be able to change up your routine. If you tired of doing the same thing and you tired of getting the same results, it's time for you to change up your habits and to change up your routine. Because if you don't do that, you're going to continue to fall in the same process every single year. You're going to keep falling in that same pattern each year, talking about, well, I didn't have a good year because this, and this. Well, what were you doing? Like, what was it that you were doing that you didn't enjoy throughout the year? And once you identify what that is, you need to take that out your routine so you don't continue to keep consistently falling in the pattern of, man, this wasn't my year. Man, this wasn't my year. Man, this wasn't my year. You should not keep saying that each year. You got 12 months in a calendar year. You're telling me that you ain't had nothing worth a night. So the fact that you didn't have nothing to reflect on, or nothing that you really thought was significant, tells me that what you were choosing to spend your time doing wasn't worth your time. So my challenge to you going into this year is to be able to spend time doing things that are worth remembering and are worth doing and are worth your time. Come on, somebody. Because I decided that this year was going to be the year where I spend time doing what I love to do. And that was doing a podcast, that was traveling, right? That was eating good food, and that was also being able to make a difference. Come on, somebody. And my motto for this year, my motto for 2021, going into 2021, was making a difference. So usually I decide I try to do mottos each year. And so my motto for 2021 was make a difference. And so what I did was I tried to structure things around trying to make a difference, which looking back on it, I feel like I did throughout this podcast. Now, for me going into 2022, my motto is going to be going places. Come on, somebody. So now in 2022, it's funny how I came up with it, because for Christmas, I had gotten a suitcase. And, with the suitcase, that's all I got was just a little travel bag. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is pretty nice. But then I really looked, at the significance of the gift. And I realized, man, 2022, I think this will be the year. The reason I got this suitcase was because God was saying that I'm gonna be going places. Come on, somebody. So God was telling me that I'm gonna be going places. So that's what I believe. That's just what I believe. And that's what I feel like God is saying to me going into next year is that He's gonna have me going places next year. Come on, somebody. So my thing is like you don't have to do it, but usually what I do, I try to make a common theme for the whole year, and I try to do things that I feel like would be able to help me to achieve that mile. Come on, somebody. So that's what I got planned for 2022. I'm going places. Now I don't have, so I do have some resolutions or whatever you want to call it, some goals, some ideas that I want to be able to happen just in terms of this podcast, and also for what I also hope to happen in 2022. So I'm closed with some of the direction that I want to go in for the new year, particularly for this podcast. Um, one thing that I really hope to do this year, I know I've been pretty much virtual, for the most part, having guests on Zoom. One thing I really want to do is have guests in person. So that's one of my goals. One of the things I want to happen, going into this year is having more in-person interactions with guests. So hopefully, I'll be able to see some people next to me. Um, being able to record episodes and being able to just be able to have that face-to-face interaction. So that's one thing that I'm hoping to do. I think that my girl Heather might come up next month in January. I think she was talking about trying to make a flight over to Ohio. Just to let y'all know, she do fly for free, so it ain't gonna cost her nothing. You know what I'm saying? The only thing it's gonna cost us is time, but really, she get to fly for free. She gets like a special thing where she gets to fly for free. So she might fly into Ohio. We'll probably do another episode together. Hopefully, this coming up next year in January. So that's hopefully on the list. One thing I also want to do is I want to be more involved in the community in terms of putting the Disinfecting Life brand out there. So I was actually talking to a lady. Her name is Denise, and she also, has her own podcast called Life, Love, and the Pursuit of Happiness. I think. Yep, Life, Love, and the Pursuit of Happiness by Denise Taylor. So it's funny because she was actually one of my mom's sorority sisters, and so when I told my mom that I published the book, she put it out there on Facebook, Twitter, and I think that she came across the page and she contacted my mom and told her that I should connect with her. And so one of the things that I'm also going to be doing next year on January the 8th is I'm going to be on her podcast, and I'm going to be a featured guest on her podcast. And, I'm very excited about that. And also we're looking, when I was talking to her earlier this month, she was telling me that she was trying to help coordinate an event sometime in the summer where we get to talk to youth and, just be able to pour into them, pour in some wisdom, pour in some knowledge into the youth. She was thinking about it being more of a back to school event. So hopefully I get to go out there. Hopefully I get to, meet some people and, be able to be an influence in the community. And I plan on, hopefully doing more stuff like that where I can be more of a voice in the community. And so that's one of the things I'm looking forward to, particularly trying to speak to the youth, because I know that, that's where it starts, how you think, when you're young, the principles that you learn when you're young, can carry with you throughout your adult life. So, hopefully, my goal is to be able to, pour into some of these younger people and, being able to, structure, be able to have, give them some principles that can help them, when they get older and when they're trying to discover their purpose in life. So that's one of my goals going into 2021. And also I'm trying to hopefully get a studio. So one thing I'm going to be continuing to work on is getting a studio, for the podcast. And, it's probably going to take me longer than a year to get this done because I'm going to need to find, building. I'm going to need to find, building where I can, be able to record episodes in, find a good sound system, find a good room to record in. So it's probably going to take me a little bit. It may not happen in 2022, but you know what? I'm faithful. And so I'm going to continue to work it out with the Lord, and I'm going to continue to put action behind it. So that's one of the things that I'm hoping to, work on in 2020, right now going into 2022. So that will be one of my, things that I get to be able to hopefully accomplish, you know what I'm saying? And also just being able to continue to keep rising, raising engagements, just continuing to, be able to reach new people, have a newer audience members, more engagements, and that's really what I'm hoping for in this new year. Um, so I'm just really excited for the direction of this podcast. I'm really looking forward to being able to continue to keep doing episodes and continuing to be an influence in the community, man. So that's what's on my list, man. But you know what? Man, it's been a great year looking back on it. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for all the fans and all the guests once again that's been on the show. I'm thankful that, you for those of you that support me, I'm thankful for that. Thank you for all the people that's just, you know, been able to keep this podcast going, man. So I definitely don't plan on stopping, definitely plan on continuing to keep doing the podcast. Definitely still got a whole lot of energy going into 2022. So you know what? This podcast is going places. It's going places. Model for 2022. We going places, baby. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. All right, man. So that's a wrap for today's episode, man. Just a reminder, follow me on Instagram at Disinfect Your Life. That's no spaces, no capitals. Once again, follow me on Instagram at Disinfect Your Life. No spaces, no capitals. Also follow me on Twitter at This In Your Life 1. So again, on Twitter, that's at DISN Your Life 1. No space, no capitals. And also check me out on Facebook. Check out my Facebook community page at Disinfect Your Life. So once again, on Facebook, that's Disinfect Your Life. Come on, somebody. But yeah, all right. Woo, that's a wrap. This your boy, Chris Simmons, wishing y'all a happy new year and make the rest of your life the best of your life. All right, take care. Peace.